Hi guys. Earlier we did the Cardinals season preview. So up next are the Falcons. So first we do coaching. So head coach we obviously got Raheem Morris. Oopsie Daisy. I'm saying so wrong. Sorry about that. Spelled his name wrong. Raheem Morris. His first year. Well, technically first year. He used he was a former interim a couple years ago after they fired Dan Quinn before they brought in Arthur Smith. So now he's back. He was in the past few years as the Rams' defensive coordinator. He had some good years. Obviously, he helped to win the Super Bowl a few years ago. So now he's back as their head coach. This is kind of funny. Like they should have just hired him in the first place instead of having Arthur Smith. It wastes a lot of offensive talent. So the offensive coordinator, we have Zach Robinson, his first year as well. Worked with the Rams all over on their offense from 2019 to 2023. So now he's offensive coordinator. Then defensive coordinator, we got Jimmy Lake, another first year. Well, most of these first year head coaches are don't want to have first year coordinators as well because most of the time they bring their own staff. Sometimes they keep the whole staff, but very rarely. Then he's a former, as well, former Rams assistant head coach. Is also for the past year, I think last season, couple of years. Then he was used to be the Washington's head coach before that in college, so I must mention that. So then there's the coaches. Now we'll go to the raw depth chart. First, quarterback. Got Kirk Cousins. He's going to be the starter. He should be good again, but he's getting up there. He's in his mid 30s. He just came in off torn ACL, but he wasn't that much of a runner. Anyways, he did it sometimes, but it was mostly if absolutely necessary. Like, he didn't see it a lot, so he shouldn't help affect that too much. We'll see. And if he does get injured, he's got Michael Penix Jr., first round pick. He, a lot of people didn't respect him taken, but the other future quarterback, he's looked good at training camp. If Kirk is injured, he got him. Should be fine. Should be all right. It's going to hurt, but should be right. Behind them, it got Taylor Heineke, but he'll probably try and find a way to make the team, or at least they'll try to get him on the practice squad so they don't have three quarterbacks in their active roster. But so they'll probably find a way to keep him just because he's a good backup and he's shown some flashes where he can be a starter for a little bit. You just don't want to be a prolonged starter like Washington found out. So we'll see. And behind him, again, Nathan Rourke. He's on the make. They're not going to carry that four. They're not going to carry four quarterbacks. Nobody does. You may go to practice squad just to have another guy there. Can never hurt to have too many quarterbacks because you never know. Then running back, obviously got Bijan Robinson. He had a great rookie year. Should be even better. Hopefully with the new offensive coordinator, he'll actually be able to use his weapons unlike Arthur Smith. She should have a good sophomore year. Then you got a guy who on most teams probably would be starting right now on Tyler Hedgier. Like his rookie year, he had 1,000 yards rushing. And second year, they drafted Bijan, but he still had a good year. And yeah, like most teams, he would be starting. Jason McCallan, he's a third string running back. He was just later round pick from Alabama. He probably won't be playing much unless it's like special teams, but he's just there for depth. Like if a guy gets injured, he can be decent backup. Avery Williams, he's there. He hopefully will never play a meaningful snap, but we'll see. Because you never know with injuries. The wideout got Drake London. He should be great. Like he's shown really good flashes. Just hasn't had the greatest quarterback play. And then he's also has had a guy in Arthur Smith. I'm saying it again, he did not do very good using his weapons. And even though he was a offensive guy, so you think he'd be good at it. Even though he drafted a ton of offensive talent, like he drafted London, he drafted Bijan, he drafted Pitts, all in the top 10, and barely used Pitts. Like he's huge. He's a good tight end. He should be more used a lot more in the red zone, but he was barely used. And then Mooney, like he's a good wide receiver too. You don't really want him to be your number one wide receiver. Can't really be next, but he can be good too. Like he's shown some flashes where he can be that. Like it's just he didn't really get targeted by Fields much, but I feel like that's just because he didn't really go to all of his reads like a good quarterback would. Well, also he hasn't had the good best quarterback play. Like, yeah. And behind them we got Ray McLeod. He's according to them, I probably say Rondell Moore starts over him, and Ray is more of a special teamers guy. Like that's why the Niners signed him to that contract a couple years ago. So he might be starting, but probably Rondell Moore. Like then speaking of Rondell Moore, we'll get to him. Like they got him this off season. Like I love this trade for them. Like they traded who would have been their third string quarterback if they kept him in the Britter because he's not the only backup or Penix for probably their third wide receiver, Rondell Moore, which is a lot better trade because Rondell Moore actually will be playing meaningful snaps versus Ritter. Because obviously the Cardinals hope that Kyler doesn't get injured again. So yeah, behind him they got Katero Hodge. He's okay. Like you were at, he's you probably you don't want him playing a lot, but he's decent depth. Behind him, you got Casey Washington, who is a sixth-round pick. Like he'll probably, I feel like him and James Washington probably be fighting for the last wide receiver because I feel like they'll probably only carry six on their roster because the rest of these guys aren't that good. So, but unless because James Washington, he's been good, he just can never stay healthy. It seems like. So probably he'll probably make the roster over Washington. Washington probably go to practice squad. The rest of these guys are practice squad fodder and roster guts. Like they're not gonna be carrying like a guy like Josh Allen, Chris Blair, and Austin Mack. Like the same behind them. Like those, like nobody carries them in your receiver. It's just camp bodies that everybody needs, which is why so many of these teams have so many players on the depth chart that won't even make the team. Tight end, Kyle Pitts should be good. He was a top 5 pick for a reason. He just wasn't used a lot in the offense. Even when he was, like, the quarterbacks would miss him a lot. So he should do better. Behind him, they got Shirley Warner. He's more of a blocker. Like, he isn't that much of a receiving threat, and he's there. But he'd rather. That's why you have Pitts. Like, you shouldn't need a guy, unless Pitts gets injured, you shouldn't need another tight end to get a lot of receiving yards because you got Pitts. And then you got John Fitzpatrick. Probably make the team because he's been all right, not great, but he'll probably make it. Ross Dwelly, he's probably roster cut. Like I doubt they're carrying 4 tight ends unless they have all 4 to do good, or they might put on a practice squad. That could happen. Just have extra depth. Fullback, you got Robert Burns. He probably will make the roster. Like according to this, he's already injured. Just because I don't think the Rams have carried a fullback like played him at all like under Sean McVay. I don't think I've ever seen them have one or at least play even a little. So the problem make the roster. The probably is a roster spot somewhere else. At tackle, you got that's great. Like you're fine left tackle with Jake Matthews. Like he's not going anywhere. Like that's your best defensive guy lineman right there. And then and him at tackle, you got Barry Wesley and Andrew Stuber. Like I feel like Stuber's probably gonna make the team over Wesley if only one of them makes it, just because he's young. Was a recent draft pick, so he'll probably be there. Anthony Bergeron, he didn't do great. He didn't do very well his rookie year, but he was a rookie. Most defensive linemen rookies don't do good. So, but he'll probably be back, and yeah, he'll probably do better. He should at least. He was a second round pick for a reason. I think behind him, you got John LeGue, who, if I'm being honest, sorry, but I just don't know that name. He might make the roster. Then at center, you got Drew Dahlman. He's decent. Like, he's a fine starting them, but if you can get a better replacement for him, that's great. Behind him at center, you got Ryan Nuzell and Devon Wynn. Like, I feel like Javon Wynn probably makes the team. Nuzell, I don't know. Like, is probably between him and John LeGue. The right guard. Oh, sorry, I completely forgot about Chris Lindstrom. Sorry, Jake Matthews is a great left tackle, but Lindstrom's the best defensive lineman. Like, he's one of the best right guards in the league. And then, yeah, that's all you need to know. Like, he should be starting. Like, yeah. Like, and then behind him, you got Kyle Hinton. He's okay. You you definitely never want him to start. Like, if he's starting, you're in trouble. Your quarterback's probably don't get a lot of hits. Our right tackle, you got Caleb McGarry. He's decent. Like, he's a fine starter. But yeah. Then you got Storm Norton and Jared Jones Smith. Okay, backup guys. You definitely don't want to get them starting. Like, and Jillian Davenport, same thing. Yeah. Like, so it's pretty much, you get this offensive line isn't great, but isn't it's like he's got two good to great players, and he's got some guys that could get better, like Bergeron, and then it's fine, but he could be better just because he gets a lot of young guys mostly. And they're to the defense. Got Zach Harrison at edge. Like, you could definitely find or improvement probably somewhere. Like, he is okay. Like, he's a second round guy, and yeah, like he barely did anything last year, but so you never know. He could have a breakout year. He was a third round pick, but I doubt he's going to be that good. Like, and then got Grady Jarrett at the other edge. Like, he used to be really good, but he's not as good, and he's had a lot of injuries. So it's tough. Like, Grady Jarrett can stay healthy and bounce back. That's a good one being first guy in your defense line. But if he doesn't stay healthy, like, you'd rather not have a guy like Zach Harrison be your number one edge rusher. Like, that's not that good. But if you can have Jarrett be number one and Harrison be the number two, it's still not great, but it's better because you don't have to have him as your number one. Then nose tackle, you got David Amade. He's a really good defensive nose tackle. Yeah, like he took him from their division rival, the Saints. I think it was last off season. Yeah, he's their as of now. And now Jarrett can bounce back and stay healthy. He's their best defensive lineman. And their backup, Tindarius Street. He's a good backup. He'll definitely make the team. Like, yeah, might be a rotation between him and Jarrett. I mean, no, Harrison. Just because, yeah, he's just young, and you want to get Kate or rested. Sorry. Then you also got Damone Harris and Brandon Dorless, no problem, most likely make the team, but Damone Harris probably not. Then back up nose tackle, you got like Hale London. He's a good thing he's a backup. And then you got Tommy Togugai. He's okay. He's decent depth. You get Eddie Goldman. He had some good years at the Bears a few years ago, but he hasn't done much because I feel like he took a couple years off. Yeah, like the last time he played was 2021. If that helps tell you. Yeah, he hasn't done anything. Like, I feel like so he is back. Yeah. I can remember because I feel like he had retired. He like signed with them last off season, then he retired. But he is coming back because he's had some weird stuff. Then back up behind Grady Jarrett, you got Rook or probably butchered the last name, but he's another decent young guy. Like, he can develop, he can be a good guy, but you don't really want him starting his rookie year a ton if you can stop that. They got Taquan Graham, good depth guy, like that far back off your depth chart, that's good. So you don't want him anywhere near starting. Got a Prince Emili. He's most likely not making the team, just because I doubt they're carrying him as defensive lineman. Then at will linebacker, you got James Smith Williams. He's okay. Like, between him and Ebiketie, I'd rather have Ebiketie starting just because he's a younger guy and he can develop. Smith Williams still youngish, but still, like, yeah. And Ebiketie is a decent young player. Let's see if he starts, if he can beat out Williams. Then you got Bradley Nye. He's okay. What was he, second round? Fifth rounder in 2020. He was decent. He's shown some flashes. He'll probably make the team. Then Kandi Ojini Hassan. a most practice squad guy. He's definitely not making this roster. Then at left interior linebacker, you got Caden Ellis. And between him and Troy Anderson, if they only start one of them, like if one of them gets more snaps versus the other, I feel like it'd be Troy Anderson just because he's a young guy. He's a second round pick a couple years ago, so they'll probably go with the pedigree, the draft pick, and see what he can develop and be a good linebacker. Ellis is a decent one too. You can get better, but it wouldn't be terrible to have him started. Then Donovan Mooten and Nate Landman, they're okay. You'd rather not have either of them starting. Yeah, and then Milo Ilfer and JD Bertrand, like he'll most likely he should make the team for sure. Should go in the practice squad if obviously nobody else picks him up. It's just because you try to put him in the practice squad doesn't mean nobody else don't try and claim him. Could happen. Ilfer most likely doesn't make the team. Bertrand I think does. Then at the other last linebacker spot, you got Lorenzo Carter. He's okay, like he's decent, but if you can get an upgrade, that'd be great. Like if D'Angelo Malone or Bretland Trice can develop and become good linebackers and to replace Lorenzo Carter, that's good because you'd rather have an upgrade over than Lorenzo Carter, which is why they drafted these guys recently. And a cornerback, they're great. They're doing really good. They're for number one corner. AJ Terrell's good. No worries. He's your starter. Good. Trying to get Kevin King. He hopefully doesn't start. Like he's been okay. He's had okay years, but there's a reason nobody wanted to sign him last off season because he didn't do too good with the Packers in this tenure there. Like in that playoff game against the Bucks for the Packers a couple years ago, like he gave up that end of the first half touchdown to Scotty Miller from Brady. Like that probably cost him the game. And strong safety, you got Richie Grant. I feel like he didn't do too good. Like he struggled a little bit, so I feel like DeMarco Helms probably was starting over him, but Richie Grant was a high draft pick in DeMarco, so you never know. But neither of these guys were drafted by this regime, so you never know because when you're not drafted by your newest team's regime, that doesn't always mean they're not always connected to you because they might want guys they've drafted. You got Dane Krushiak and Lucas Dennis. They'll be lucky to make the team. Like Krushiak probably goes to practice squad just because he's younger. And free safety, you got Jesse Bates, one of the top free safeties in the league. Like that's a really good signing last year. Even though a lot of people didn't like it, I feel like, but he's a good signing. He's there. Him and Terrell are two really good guys having your secondary. Like it's pretty good. Behind them, you got Micah Abernathy and Trey Tarpley. Not good. You don't want them ever touching the field on meaningful snaps, but just in case if Bates gets injured, then one of them probably will have to because you don't really have anybody else at the start at free safety unless you have Richie Grant and Marco Helms starting next to each other, but they both are usually strong safeties, so that's kind of tough. Not everybody can play both safety positions. Then right, your second corner, you got Clark Phillips. He's young. He should be good. He should develop. He's a worthy starter. Like there's a reason he was drafted, I think second or third round last year. Then a nickelback, you got Nick Hughes. He's been okay, but he's not a good guy. Like it's a good thing he's your third. The only time he's only starting is if you're a nickel, because you don't want to be your number two. Obviously, not number one either at that point. So he's good backup. Just you can never have enough. You can never not have enough depth in the secondary because that's really important. Injuries happen. And you also got D. Alford. He's a good backup. That's about it. You got Tony Hamilton Sr. Was he with the? Yeah, he was. He did good. He was okay. Like he did all right. Like those aren't great stats, but because he was with the Cardinals last year, wasn't he? So he obviously. Oh yeah, he was okay. That's what I thought. So he obviously didn't. He wasn't mainly. He was okay in that secondary. Like at corner, he was probably like one of their best players. So that isn't saying much because their corner room in Arizona is terrible. Like they don't have really any good young players. Like they have good safeties, but those aren't corners. Got Harrison Hand. He's a special teamer. He'll probably make the team just because of that. Like that's the whole reason he stayed around in Minnesota for that long. That's why he's still in the league. Like he's not. You never want him playing in corner. Like if it wasn't sure how good he is with special teams, he's not in the league anymore. Probably. Kicker. You got a Young Wei Koo, great kicker. I think he's the most accurate kicker in NFL history, or not one, at least one of them. I haven't looked recently. Bradley Pinion, he's okay. He's a punter, so not a huge thing if he's not that good, but you obviously want to have good ones. Like I said earlier, with returners, you got Ray McLeod. Like he's a good special team returner. Like you don't really want to start in a wide receiver. That's why I said Rondale Moore should be starting over him at number 3, like your South rivalry out. And yeah, then at line snapper you got Liam McCooloo. He is a line snapper. Who gives a who cares? Like, yeah, obviously he's not make the team unless they sign him line snapper out of nowhere because they, unlike Madden, you actually need a line snapper. Yeah. Then let's look at their schedule. Like that's Steelers game. I feel like they're most likely will win just because it's week 1 of the regular season and they got 2 new quarterbacks. And it doesn't matter who's starting, whether it's Russ or Fields. And both of them didn't do that good last year, anyways. So yeah, it's like Fields is still young. Wilson is getting up there. Like he was not that good with Denver these past 2 years. I think there's a reason they were willing to take that huge dead cap to get rid of him instead of just paying him for one more year. Then we two got at the Eagles. You're not winning that one at all because I feel like the Eagles are going to be out of vengeance from how they went last year. I feel like they don't really want to start off good just because they ended terrible last year. Then you got the Chiefs. You're losing that one. Like Chiefs are there's a reason they're 2-time defendants, Super Bowl champs. So you're most likely losing that one. Could be a good game though. You got the Saints. They're most likely winning that one. Like they're an okay team, Saints, but like Ryan Ramchick's most likely. I think he's for sure out for the season, but he's for sure out for a while. He's some injury troubles, and Derek Carr should not be a starting quarterback, or at least he should not be getting paid him as much as he is right now to be a starting quarterback. Like he is way overpaid. Like there's a reason the Raiders got rid of him. You got the Buccaneers. Should be a good game. Like I feel like they'll probably win it just because it's at home for them, and so they'll have home field advantage, which always helps in division matchups. You got the Panthers. They'll win that one. Panthers should be better. Like they shouldn't have the first overall pick again this year, but I don't think they're going to be able. The Falcons should be able to beat them. Like yeah. They got the Seahawks. That should be a good game. Like these are 2 like playoff content. Like they're like contenders to make the playoffs, but I don't really think the Seahawks. I don't think are Falcons. If Kirk has another really good year, like he's on MVP close to MVP level, like he was last year for the Vikings before he got injured, I feel like they could be Super Bowl contenders. But still, with that. Their defense isn't the greatest of Falcons. I don't know, but I feel like they'll beat the Seahawks. They'll probably lose this Bucks game. Like I said in this previous one, it helps have home field advantage. Obviously, this one they don't have it, so I feel like if they win the first one, the Bucks will be going really hard to try to win the second one because they don't want to split that season series. So I feel like they'll probably split the series with the Bucks. They get the Cowboys. I'm assuming that they extended CD Lamb and Micah Parsons at this point, so those Cowboys should be good. And then so I'll go on the Cowboys there. They'll sweep the Saints. Like yeah, the Saints they'll be okay team, but they're not going to be that good. Like they'll probably be like the Vikings have been for a long time, like too good to have a high draft pick, but too bad to be a playoff contender. So you're like right in the middle of the pack, which sucks as a Vikings fan. I know, because like other than 2017 for the Vikings, we were not been that close to a Super Bowl in a long time. And yeah, and you got the Broncos. You should win this one. Like they got like they got Bo Nix, so he'll hopefully this will be starting because then they got Zach Wilson, who is a terrible quarterback. He should not be a back. He should not definitely should not be starting. He shouldn't even be a really backup. But then they do have Jared Stidham, so he's a good backup. So, but yeah. Then week 13, you got the Chargers. I feel like they're gonna lose that one just because I feel like Chargers will bounce back here with their new head coach and their new regime, assuming they stay healthy. And they should Chargers should be better this year. And assuming Joel does good, their first round pick, and that McConkey does good because Quentin Johnson is not looking like a first round pick. The other Vikings, I feel like they don't know. I feel like they're probably not win that just because they don't think that's Kirk's probably don't want a revenge for us letting him walk, even if we somewhere else we just didn't want to pay him for. At least I didn't want to pay him 4 years, 180 million. It was really only a 2 year deal. This a lot for a mid-30s quarterback coming off a torn ACL. Like even if he was having a good year before he tore it, you got the Raiders should win that one. They are shouldn't be, they should they got Minshew, but like they don't have that much. Like they got Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, but other than that, they don't have much. They got Giants should win that one. Yeah, same with the Commanders, and then you should sweep the Panthers. So yeah, that's what I think how they'll do this year. They're a right team. Like I feel like they'll make the playoffs, or not really close. Or like they'll have a really good chance to win their division. Obviously, depends on how Kirk bounces back. So like obviously, if Kirk doesn't bounce back and does good, it doesn't matter how the rest of the team does. Well, actually, they have Penix obviously, but like he still doesn't mean he's gonna do good. And yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good one.